Good morning, BSIT 4th year. Again, this is Sir Jordan Puhawan, your course instructor in application development. Last time, our discussion focused on the different software development activities and core principles of software development. So for today, as a continuation, our topic will focus on three parts or three topics. Number 1, how to solve a problem. Number 2, the different communication practices. And number 3, to understand the different planning practices. So how to solve a problem? Number 1, in order for us to solve the problem, we have to understand the problem itself. So how can we understand the problem or our client's problem? So number 1, I guess, for me, we have to make an interview. We have to schedule an interview for us to understand the exact scenario that is happening in our client or that is happening in our client's offices or clients' different transaction. Next, aside from having an interview, we can also observe the actual transactions that they are doing for us to understand where does the root cause of the problem is coming. Then next, aside from that, we can also ask our client's client or the client of our client. We can make an interview or a survey. That is for us to dig deeper and for us to understand where does the root cause of the problem is coming. After understanding the problem, after making an interview, a survey, or an observation, we can now plan a solution. So planning a solution is actually a collaborative work of the team that includes the project manager, the system analyst, the programmer, the system tester, and the documenter, or the one in charge of the technical writing. After making up a solution, we can carry out the plan. So how do we carry out the plan? We can carry out the plan by means of constructing or developing the actual software that has the solution to the problem of our client. We are now on the proper coding or proper designing or the proper development of the system. Then lastly, after developing the system or after carrying out the plan, we can now examine the result for accuracy. This means, or at this phase, the system tester is the one in charge in determining whether the output that is given by the system is accurate or not. Now, communication practices. What is communication? Communication, based from Merriam-Webster.com. It is a process by which information is exchanged between individuals through a common system of symbols, signs, or behavior. This is an example of how communication works. A communication will work if there are two parties that can understand the message by means of a common channel or common medium. An example on the image is that the messenger has the input or it has the message or information. Now, by means of speaking, for example, speaking yung medium or channel na napili niya, this messenger will transfer the message by means of speaking towards the recipient. For the recipient to understand it, kailangan marunong or common yung dialect na gagamitin nila or language. So that is the common scenario on how people communicate. Now, communication is not possible if there is only one person involved, meaning that communication is done by means or communication is done with two or more persons involved. Kaya nga yung mga estudyante natin or members sa capstone project natin na nagsosolo, there is no communication there kasi nag-iisa siya. So, for us to have a better communication, whether towards our group mates or towards our client, kailangan lagi siyang may kasama or may kausap. Transmission of data from one computer to another or from one device to another. This is another definition of communication. So, pareho lang din. May messenger, may channel. Channel is the different forms of communication, whether it is a mail, a phone call, or a picture, or a or a personal conversation through a network. Through a network. Okay, we can have communication by means of having a blog, email, phone calls, contact persons, meetings, or relation. Now, communication practices, there are 10 different communication practices. Number 1 is listen. Once we have an interview, suppose that you have an interview, number one for you to understand the speaker's words is you have to listen. Try to focus on speaker's words rather than formulating your response to those words. Meaning that if you are making an interview with your client or with any other person, try to focus on the speaker's words or the speaker's statements rather than focusing yourself on what to ask that person. You have to understand or you have to focus yourselves in listening rather than formulating another question. So that's number 1. Okay, ask for clarification if something is unclear, but avoid interruption. So I guess that's clear. Number 2, prepare before you communicate. So before you communicate or before you have your interview, see to it that you have an advanced communication. So when you say advanced communication, this means that you have to send your interviewee or the person you will be talking to with a letter or communication stating the day or date and time and even the agenda that you will be dealing with. Try to understand the different business domain jargons, meaning that try to understand what are their languages, what are the different ways or expressions that is in that company. Prepare an agenda in advance of the meeting. So like what I have said, you have to make the list of agenda that you will be asking or that you will be dealing with your interviewee. Number 3, someone should facilitate the activity. During the interview, there should be somebody or a leader who will keep the conversation moving in a productive direction. So there should be someone who will lead the questions, or there should be a leader of the interview. So do not make an interview wherein everyone will point out who will ask this question. Come on, ask this question. So avoid that. That's a big no-no in communication. Kasi pagdating nyo sa inyong interviewee, dapat prepared na kayo. Iwasan, sabi ko nga, iwasan ang pagtuturoan. Itanong mo nga ito, itanong mo nga ito. Again, it is a big no-no. So there should be someone who will take charge or someone who will act as a leader during the interview. Another one, the reason why there should be someone or a leader during the interview, he or she is the one in charge to mediate if any conflict that will occur. So for example, nagkakaroon na ng kalituhan, the leader should act as a mediator, tagapigil or taga-pacify ng sitwasyon. Kasi there are some, it is unavoidable, wherein in front of the interviewee, both or the team is having a conflict. Hindi, salang intindi mo dun. Mali yan, ganito kasi yun. So the leader should mediate. And to ensure that the other principles are being followed. So this one is again in charge for the leader. Dapat he or she ensures that all other principles are being followed, like yung time, yung schedule nyo, and everything should be followed. Next, face-to-face communication is best. So face-to-face communication is still the best way for us to communicate. It is stated here that it is easier conversation and clear explanation. Sabi nga, ang hirap kapag ang ating kausap is through text or email lamang. Bakit? O sige. For example, you ask me something or you ask me a favor or nagpaalam ka, then ang reply ko is a capital OK. What do you think is my impression? Am I angry or mad? Or does okay means really okay? So ang hirap. Kaya face-to-face communication is still the best way of communication. Diba? Minsan, if we are asking a favor for somebody, then our text is composed of 3 pages text. Sobrang habang text. Then ang reply lang is K, capital K. Sometimes we are paranoid. Ano kayang ibig sabihin ng K na yun? Does that K means really okay? Or galit ba siya? Or pasual ba yun? Or what? Ang hirap, di ba? So yun, kaya nga sabi rito, face-to-face communication is still the best.
Number 5, for communication practices. So it is stated here that we have to take notes and document the decisions. So, dun sa number 4, kanina, ang sabi is, yung nga, face-to-face communication is the best. For 5, take notes and document the decisions. So dito, kailangan may tagasulat, or there should be someone who will act as the secretary wherein everything is being jot down. Bakit? Bakit kailangan i-document ang lahat? So, for you to have your recordings of what happened and what are the decisions that has been agreed upon during the meeting. So, someone participating in the communication should serve as the recorder and write down all the important points and decision. So, para meron din kayong balik-balikan kung sakaling kayo may mga tanong or may mga tanong na hindi na-raise pero mahalaga. So at least you have, if you will have your follow-up meeting or follow-up interview, maisusulat nyo kung ano yung mga tanong na hindi napatanong. Okay, let's have some recap of our discussion. So for communication practices, number 1, listen. Number 2, prepare before you communicate. Number 3, someone should facilitate the activity. Number 4, face-to-face communication is best. And number 5, take notes and document decisions. Number 6, strive for collaboration. Always remember that in software development, this is actually working with the team. You're not working alone. You are working as a team. Just like your capstone project. You have your project manager, system analyst, programmer, technical writer, and system tester. Everyone should work in collaboration. Hindi pwedeng laging si analyst lang at si programmer or si programmer at saka si project manager. Everyone should work according to their position. So yun yung ibig sabihin ng strive for collaboration. This is according to our lecture, collaboration and consensus occurs when the collective knowledge of members of the team is combined or need to describe the system's functions or feature. So imagine class kung ang inyong programmer is not working with you. Hindi niyo siya nakakausap, hindi niyo siya nakikita, pero diretso ang pagpo-program niya. Sa tingin niyo magiging maayos yung kanilang program or yung program na ginagawa ninyo? Definitely hindi. Kasi kulang sa communication. Laging nag-iisa lamang. Kaya nga, this is a team. Hindi naman ito team ng nag-iisa. Samahang nag-iisa, wala namang ganun. So that's number 6, collaboration. Number 7, stay focused and modularize your discussion. Pag nagdi-discuss tayo, para yung teacher, yung buong klase niya is well-planned. Hindi pwedeng puta-puta kay, ay yung lesson natin ay ito. Ay wag muna nating ituloy, ito muna. Ay wag muna nating ituloy yan, ito muna. Hindi naman ganoon, di ba? So, focus muna tayo sa isang area. After natin mag-focus, gawin nating by module. Halimbawa, login form. Ano-ano dapat yung nakikita ko sa login form? Yung ating adding form, ano dapat ang nakikita ko? Anong kulay dapat nito? And so on and so forth. So, stay focused and modularize. Imo-module natin. Gagawin nating hati-hati. Hati-hati. Next, number 8. If something is unclear, draw a picture. A sketch or a drawing can often provide clarity when words fail to do the job. I don't know kung nangyayari yun sa inyo. Yung mas maliwanag pagka idinodrawing, halimbawa si Kuwan, gagawa ka ng bilog, asawa ito ni ganito, pamangkin ni ganyan. So mas malinaw yung sinusulat. Yung pag nag-explain kayo, nagsusulat kayo sa papel. I don't know kung nangyari yun sa inyo, pero yun yung ibig sabihin nito. If something is unclear, you can draw a picture. Pwede tayong mag-drawing, pwedeng magsulat. Kung stick man yan, okay lang. Basta mahalaga, naiintindihan yung inyong ipinapaliwanag. Yun yung sa number 8. Yung parang pag may kausap kayo sa telepono, diba, kausap niyo sa telepono, pumunta ka sa kaliwa, ay, may makikita ka dyan, diba? While you are talking to that person or to somebody, ikaw nagsesenyas. Diba? I don't know kung na-experience yun, yung senyas ka na senyas. As if naman na makikita. Hindi yan, yung isa. As if naman, nakita ka nung kausap mo na itinuturo mo yung isa. Diba? So, ganun din yung sa pag-explain dito sa communication practices. If something is unclear, you can actually draw a picture. Drawing a picture as in literal na drawing or even body gesture. Next, number 9. Once you agreed to something, move on. If you cannot agree to something, still move on. So sabi nga, move on pag may time. Pag may napag-usapan, okay, move on tayo. Move on to the next topic. Kung hindi klaro ngayon, okay, babalikan natin ito mamaya. Ang mahalaga, dire-diretso yung inyong pag-uusap. Then last, negotiation is not a contest or a game. It works best when both parties win. If the team has collaborated well, all parties have a common goal. So, ibig sabihin nito, yung negotiation or communication natin, whether we are communicating with our client or we are talking to our group members or we have this brainstorming or meeting ninyo, tandaan nyo, hindi ito contest na pagalingan. Kayo ay magkakateam. Ang success ng isa ay success ng buong grupo. At ang failure ng isa ay failure din ng buong grupo. Okay, now that we are done with the 10 communication practices, I want you to watch this video and try to contemplate and try to analyze what's happening with this video. Watch the video and look if they only have that communication, if they are talking to each other, and if they are regularly seeing each other, their output will be the same. But look, if there is no one talking to each other, if they're not talking with a group, tingnan nyo kung ano nagiging output pagdating sa program or sa developer. Ayun. So you see, there's no communication on that video clip. So that is a good example of a failed communication. Okay, so with that, with those 10 best practices, communication practices, I hope yung i-design ninyong system is guided with that principles. Kaya nga ito napakaganda nitong 10 communication practices na ito at sana may apply natin while or during our system development. So for now, hanggang dyan na lang muna and our next topic, kung hindi ako nagkakamali, is 10 planning principles naman or planning practices. So again, hanggang dito na lang muna and watch out for my next video tutorial or our video lesson, recorded lesson rather. We will have our quiz one of these days. Just look on your Edmodo account, then mag-a-appear naman doon yung ating quiz. So again, hanggang dyan na lang muna and keep safe everyone. Have a nice day ahead of you.